Chief O'Brien gets Keiko pregnant in one shot. Major Kira plays with clay, but pretty much sucks at it. And Akaram Lon gives Captain Sisko Umox. Hey everybody, and welcome to the 7th Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and I'm not above using visuals to make a joke. It's not a great visual, but it's kind of a dark image, but whatever. Today we are doing a review of Deep Space Nine Season 4, Accession, directed by Mr. Les Landau, who lives in Deep Space Nine infamy. Every time I read Les Landau, I go, ooh, I can't wait to mention it to Cirroc. It's like I'm like a kid. Written by Jane Espension. I'd never heard of her, but more on that in a moment. Turns out she's done quite well for herself since then. Okay. How you doing, Cirroc?
I'm doing good. It's funny you mentioned that you took that backdrop with the new Emissary kind of ear cup in the old Emissary, or the real Emissary. But there was a moment there in this exact scene, in this exact moment, where Les Landau decided to do a close-up from the other end, from the opposite side of this picture, which is a close-up on his fingers behind his ear. And
just kind of going like this.
Yeah, and it looked kind of like, hey, that's a little bit weird, right there.
That's the Emissary, buddy. Back off.
It was too soft and too tickly. I thought if you're just going to grab somebody's ear, you kind of grab it with a little bit of, But if you start being tender with that ear, then it becomes a little bit of something else.
Yeah, that's a little tenderoni is what that was. Am I right, Bobby?
Oh, wow. Wow. Here we go.
I know. We get right into it. So, yeah, that was definitely Umox.
Umox,
that was not searching for Pa. That was Umox is what was happening there.
Yeah.
Here, let me. And there's nothing wrong with that. Umox is awesome apparently, but the thing is the person has to be a willing Umox recipient.
Right.
Like you can't just be like, oh, let me check your Pa.
Well, if that was a Ferengi, they would literally be married.
Officially. That's a better one.
There it is.
So we got a lot to talk about in this one. This was surprisingly interesting for me, as in more so than I expected. By the way, I just want to say, Cirroc, that usually the night before we're going to record, and I'm kind of planning out what's my day like tomorrow. And, there's a lot of stress going on outside in the world, and everybody's fighting each other, and everybody hates each other and stuff. But I swear, it's like when I'm like, oh, tomorrow I get to record with my buddy. It's like, it's all of a sudden like I'm like looking forward to the day, and it's a good day, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to record with my buddy Cirroc. He's going to laugh at my dumb jokes, or even better, shake his head. But anyway, thanks for making my weekly recordings with you so enjoyable. It's been a great time.
It is. It's been super fun. It's really easy, ladies and gentlemen, even though the hard part is just doing the research and studying up and sometimes watching the episode. But the fun part is
sometimes,
but the easy part is definitely showing up with you. And when Aaron was around, just the three of us, it was just so much fun. I look forward to it each time, and I still do. So thanks for just being a good partner, Ryan.
Right. Thank you. And bringing up Aaron, also one last thing that's another thing is once a week we have an excuse to think about and talk about our buddy Aaron, which is also anyway, it's just a great thing. And people are like, when are you going to talk about Star Trek? Whatever. We like hanging out with each other sometimes too. Like just talking about,
Wait till the basketball show comes on the sports show.
I know. So, anyway, lots to talk about here. I do want to give a quick shout out to your sister, Merone, who runs Abyssinian Kiosk. By the way, this awesome shirt, that is the Sisko Kid design. You can get it in different colors, different flavors. I recommend the Brie flavor. And different sizes, of course. Actually, let's do a quick thing. Here's her shop. There it is. You can see that, right? So here's the design up here. The newest design is kind of a variant on the Sisko Kid. It's Sisko Kid 2. Probably my favorite. You've got a few of their shirts, of her shirts, right? This is my favorite of yours. That one is just so cool.
Yeah, I love that shirt. I actually love this shirt too. This is one of my favorites.
No way. Well, did we already pass that up here?
No, it's on another page here, but
okay. Anyway, we're scrolling through super fast, guys, but definitely go to Abyssinian Kiosk. It is it's in the description box of every single one of our videos, so definitely just scroll down in the description box, find the thing that says Merone's website, Abyssinian Kiosk. Buy something cool. You're supporting someone awesome, and it's really good art. I freaking love it. Oh, wait, let's see your shirt now real quick, Cirroc.
Oh, yeah, I got this one. This is the Ethiopian cross with the colors. I love that.
Yeah. You know, the way you said Ethiopian just that one time reminded me of that movie History of the World Part 1 where he says, and that's the Ethiopian, a shim sham. Gregory Hines. I don't know if you remember that. Anyway.
No, I do not remember that. The Ethiopian shim sham.
Half the people watching this know exactly what I'm talking about. And the other half are like, can you guys just talk about Star Trek, please?
What about this episode already, guys?
All right. Anyway, check it out, guys. And we hear you. Let's talk about Bajoran politics, because I know that's what everybody loves about Star Trek.
Don't sound so excited, Ryan. It's this was actually a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few things that I thought that I made note of while I was watching the episode, but I just thought it's a good concept of I thought the name was a wrong title. I don't think the name.
I was literally just thinking that when I was looking at it. Yeah, that's a good point. What do you think would be a better name for a better title?
The Tale of Two Emissaries or something.
Ooh,
you know,
that is good.
Something like that, where it was like, whoa. I just felt like Accession wasn't enough. It didn't jump out at me enough. I also was watching this episode thinking about how this could have also been written as a Q episode.
Interesting.
I thought that Q could have played this role of the other emissary.
Oh, like just a ruse of his.
Just to throw a whole like. You know, and then at the end, you know, just come out and say, I was just toying with you and I wanted to see if you wanted to be it or not. And I thought that would have been another kind of clever little twist that they could have added to this episode. It could have been a Q episode, kind of a less of a traditional Q because he doesn't reveal himself until the end.
Right.
And normally he likes to play games with you while you know that he's playing games with you, right?
Yeah, he does love that.
So...
You know,
those were my thoughts.
It's interesting. At the end of the episode, I actually was thinking something similar in that what could we have done with this episode? And I realized that the Kira storyline didn't really get any resolution. Like she starts to play with this clay, and I know we're jumping ahead here. She starts to play with this clay. You know, she has her ghost moment, but alone. And she sucks at it. She's terrible. She can't do a bird. And Odo should have been like, oh, I could show you how to make a bird. I do it all the time or whatever. But I was thinking there was no resolution. And this could have been a 2-part episode in that the second part of that could have been Kira actually going back to Bajor and trying to get back to her ancient roots of being a potter or whatever, you know, and because she goes, you know, that only gets introduced towards the end of the episode. And then I think she actually like resigns and says, hey, you know, I'm leaving. You're going to have to find a replacement. But then the emissary is revealed to not really be the guy. And then everything's fine. But it would have been interesting. I don't think it would be good enough to be a 2-parter, but it would have been really cool anyway, just to have an episode where Kira goes back and tries to live this new life with the Dajara, ruling everything.
Yeah, I actually thought something different. I thought that she was too willing to capitulate to the whole idea of just going back to this caste system. Totally. And I thought that she has already proven herself to be such an independent thinker and such a rebellious person that the last thing she does is going to conform so easily. Exactly. She would be the resistance. She would lead the resistance, and maybe even play the role of like forcing Sisko to take that position back. Like I thought she was just like, all right, I'm going to leave, got to go and make some clay pigeons and Oh man, it's like, how you're the biggest fighter in the world. You fight everything and everybody. You won't let anybody get away with anything. And for me, I thought she could have put up a bigger fight and maybe led a resistance, or maybe even try to come up with an assassination plot to get rid of the fake emissary, right? Mm-hmm. There were other ways I thought they could have went in that direction. She was way too quick to just like give up.
Right. Yeah, you're right. She kind of flipped, but they do explain it in a way when she says, she says something to the effect of, that's the point of faith. It doesn't always have to make sense. It doesn't have to follow. And that's true. And that's what drives people that don't believe in faith or religion. That's what drives them crazy when they're like, look at this fact and look at this information. And the other person's like, well, I just have faith or something like that. But then on the other side, the person that has faith, they're saying the same thing Kira's saying, which is like, they're like, look, none of that matters. If you have faith, that's what it is. It's in the face of all these other things. So that was an interesting thing that they brought up. I still agree with you that her faith is very strong, like all Bajorans, but so is her will. Her will is also very strong, and she's an independent thinker. She's a fighter, and she wouldn't go down, without a fight so easily.
And my exact evidence of this is how hard she challenged Kai Opaka, right?
No, Kai Wynn, right?
Kai Wynn, I mean, right?
Right.
She went toe-to-toe with her. Now, if her fate was so overwhelming in her life that she would bow down to it, then she wouldn't question. She wouldn't question the Kai. She would just bow down, accept that she was subservient to her or whatever, and she knew more than she did. But she questioned and challenged her and stood toe-to-toe with her, and sometimes said, I'm gonna, I got my eye on you. To me, that shows me somebody who uses their faith to justify their actions, not to change their actions because of their faith.
Right, and it's cool that you brought up Kai Opaka, actually, because she was in this episode. They brought her back. She's one of those rare characters where we say, hey, whatever happened to whomever? Oh, she died. Okay, last we're ever going to see of her. But as we know, in Star Trek and sci-fi, just because someone dies doesn't mean you won't see them again. So that was good to see Kai Opaka again.
Yeah.
I did also want to mention at the top, I forgot to mention this, I feel like this episode now has the record for the most NAMs, the most non-appearance mentions in one episode. I counted 5 NAMs. And I know some of them were super quick and under their breath, so I want to see if you can name 3 of them.
3 NAMs. Whoa. I know that I got a NAM. I know that there was a NAM for Jake because I gave Molly a book that she likes.
Yep. I'd be shocked if you didn't catch that one, because he did say it under his breath. Chief O'Brien says, oh, Molly really loves that book Jake gave her. She had me read it 3 times before she goes to bed. And I thought that was actually good character development for you. It shows that you are, kind of championing reading and writing in children. And, you're really kind of taking this to heart, the whole writing aspect.
Yeah, I thought that was a good little NAM, actually. I agree with that because it ties into Jake as a writer, but it also means that, like, I don't know, when I was a kid, you were just in a kid group and that kid group always extended all the way down and all the way up. So essentially, if somebody was 4 or 5, they may not have hung out directly with you, but they were still in the group of the kid. And
Right.
And to me, this is like Jake's, even though he's older and
Yeah.
and you know,
You guys
Molly
are part of that giant, expansive
Yeah.
kid group. Well, really, there's only like 11 of you in the whole station
Right.
anyway. So,
right. And just the fact that Jake would be considerate enough to say, "Hey, this is a book that I think Molly would like. Let me give it to her." I thought that was just a small little great character kind of development, character building. Nam.
Yeah,
So
I
that
liked it.
was good.
And it took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting it.
But the other ones you're going to have to help me with because I literally.
Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
The best Nams of all. We got a Nog Nam.
Nam.
When Quark was talking, he says, "When my nephew Nog was a baby, cutest thing you ever saw. You know, babies. Everything they pick up goes straight into their ears."
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so that was fun. Him remembering Nog and his ear games.
Everything went in his ears.
Then there was also First Minister Shakar. They mentioned him again. A lot of people thought that Shakar was in more than just 3 episodes, but this is why. It's because they keep mentioning him. They mentioned Shakar a bunch of times, and so it feels like he's in more than just the 3 episodes. They also mentioned Kai Wynn when they were talking about how she agreed with this Arucan guy, and they're like, of course, Kai Wynn agrees. But here's the technicality, Nam, was when, and it's Molly O'Brien that says the Nam. She says, "I have a brother." So yes, that's Kira Yoshi, her brother, who gets a Nam because we didn't technically see him.
And he wasn't born yet, technically.
Yeah,
right?
he's 2 months old in that womb. So, but it is a non-appearance mention. We don't see him, and he is mentioned.
That's creative. That is true, though. It actually does count.
That's his first mention.
Non-appearance mention.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I thought that was fun. I was like, wow, that's a lot of Nams in one episode.
That's 4, though, right?
5. Jake, Nog, Shakar, Wynn, and Kira Yoshi.
Okay.
Technically Kira Yoshi.
Yeah, I'll give you that, actually. That was... I picked up on that. I just didn't consider it in my head because of it's a character I've never seen before, right? So It's like...
A never appearance mention. Not yet appeared mention.
Not yet appeared mention.
Yeah. So here's something I also wanted to ask you about, because we got one of our favorite things again, and that is the old Star Trek rule, which is when they're comparing someone to something, and they say, "Oh, it was Bashir talking about Morn playing darts," and he says, he couldn't hit Uridian yak from 5 paces away, right? Ha ha ha. And it's that thing that Star Trek always does, which is a 2 or 3 syllables finished with an IAN, Uridian, and then something familiar to us. A Uridian yak, an Altarian beetle, whateverian horn rat. And I'm like, we got to have a name for this. What is that called? Because that is definitely something that happens in every single episode. So we'll leave that to the people watching and commenting. What should we call that? What is that Star Trek rule of IAN and then something familiar? Anyway.
That's a good one.
Because I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, give me some time. It'll come to me. It's coming already.
Nice.
It's already coming.
Nice. You're thinking just like a denobulin swallow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Did O'Brien say he was going to try for twins in this episode?
Yes. He tells Keiko, he's like, "You want to try for twins?" And she's like, "I don't think that's how it works. Go play with your friend, idiot."
That was one of the corniest but like funniest lines. I had to write it down. I was like, did he really say that?
It works for cats and surely other animals. That's why cats come out in all these different styles and colors, and why there's a runt. You know, the runt is like the latest one that was, you know, fertilized or whatever.
Okay.
That's why they have all the different colors. But I don't think it works in humans in any way at all.
Were you watching this episode thinking to yourself, will the real emissary please stand up?
No, but now I'm ashamed that I didn't.
Okay. That's I was just waiting for Eminem to pop through and have a little background music.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's pretty good. No, when I'm watching it, I just lose myself in the moment.
You gotta lose yourself in the music if you own it. Never let it go.
Go. So that's that. Shout out to Eminem. Maybe our last ever. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe our last.
Yeah. So we have a couple minutes before we have to take our break, but I do want to mention and talk about this Dejara thing. It did remind me of, what was it, Dejarum? It's like a brand of cloves or something like that. I think that's what Dejarum is.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what they were referencing in this.
No, the Dejarums. No, I don't think they were talking about that. But I do want to get into that on the other side of this break and basically talk about some of the concepts that they were bringing up with this episode, some of the main, concepts that they like to hit home with and really, which is why I think that this episode carries more weight than other episodes that just, continue the storylines and tie in loose ends. This is a story that has almost in its own way a standalone type of message inside of it, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I want to get into, is what that standalone message is and why I think it distinguishes this episode from other episodes, but also puts it in a class of some of the classic episodes of Deep Space Nine that have those kinds of standalone messages, like Far Beyond the Stars and The Visitor.
Mm-hmm. Leave it to Star Trek to always have a much deeper and much more important meaning behind it. Absolutely. So we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. And everybody at home, stick around and we'll be right back on The Seventh Rule. Hey everybody, and welcome back to a very special edition of The Seventh Rule. Today we are reviewing Season 4 of Deep Space Nine, called Accession, directed by Les Landau, written by Jane Espenson. We can also talk about her a little later as well. But, very quickly, also the trivioids. And those are, Julian helps Miles dismantle his workshop. That was kind of sad. Miles gets Keiko pregnant in one shot. Vedic Porta visits the station to help a young couple get the emissary's blessing. An unexpected light ship comes in through the wormhole. Bajoran children can recite Godal's lament from memory. And babies, everything they pick up goes straight into their ears. Akaram Lan gives Captain Sisko Umox. Sisko experiences an orb shadow. That was kind of interesting. Kira plays with clay but sucks at it. Miles O'Brien teaches Molly to play darts. Molly draws a pony. By the way, we got to talk about that. And lastly, Morn and Julian play darts with two Dabo girls. Anyway, definitely let's talk about the deeper meaning behind these things.
Well, I think that one of the things that came across to me was they were, we obviously touched upon the caste system. So they're talking about just a system of hierarchy where people are treated differently than each other, right? And that's something that's really, really far from the Star Trek culture that we're used to, which is this whole place where everybody has, an equal seat at the table. And we have this coexistence of aliens and nationalities and races and, across the universe. But in this case, we're talking about bringing back some of the same ideas of caste systems that we know exist here in our times. And that's what I thought was interesting. When they talked about the Dejar, they were also talking about prescribing life duties, right? Like, you have to be a painter, you have to be a baker, you have to do this. And that is something that limits all of us, right? It puts these kinds of limits on you where you're not able to be seen in any kind of other light other than the one that's been ascribed to you. So
Right.
I thought that's an interesting concept for them to kind of touch on, and that's where I felt like there should have been more of a challenge there with Kira's character talking about how that's not a good thing, right? Because that is the same kind of thing that subjugates women, that takes people like black people and enslaves them. I mean, that's the same mentality, right? We also have that in the India's history as far as the caste system, and
Very much so, right? I was going to bring that up as well.
yeah, and how it still affects society to this day. So I think that was an important concept right away that I picked up on and said, oh, this is great, because here Sisko thinks he did the good thing, and he gets to step back and say, okay, it's out of my hands.
Put his feet up and be like, now all I have to do is worry about the Dominion, the Klingons, the everything else. Boy, I feel like I'm on vacation now.
Yeah, and he's thinking, wow, this is great. I offloaded a heavy responsibility from me. But when he starts to realize that doing that actually meant a regression in the development of the relationship that they had built, of what the Federation was trying to do with the smoothing up of Bajor's toxic history with the occupation. So he just basically sent himself back, set himself way back by making this kind of a move. So I thought that was another interesting thing.
Yeah, and that's really why I think it would have been interesting if they turned it into a two-parter. And then we just had an episode of Kira on Bajor and whoever else. They usually figure out a way to have, one or two other people from the station down there for whatever reason. And really letting her explore this thing where she's kind of got this battle of like, I suck at molding clay. I'm a warrior. I'm a fighter. I want to be up on the station, but I have to be in this hut in the hills doing this clay molding stuff. And doggone it, for my faith and for my culture and for my emissary, I'm going to keep trying. And so she's got like this, there's a lot of inner turmoil there, and then you could obviously have Dax or whomever coming down to visit and be like, how are things going? It's like a few weeks later. And she's like, I'm not getting better. I feel like I'm even getting worse. And, you have like the friends of the week, First Minister John Smith or whatever being like, hey, neighbor, I'm getting really good at making seagulls or whatever it is, and you could have Shakar there, Shaka Kar, right? And
right.
It would have been really good and really interesting to see, the ones that are doing well and really trying to push it. And then everybody else just kind of going like, dude, I'm glad we left this in the rearview mirror, man. This is terrible.
Yeah, they could have easily made that a two-parter and stretched out a lot of these themes that they deal with, and actually taking it back to that set, the one that you like so much, where it's the town square and there's a fountain in the middle.
That's another thing we need a name for. So here's the quick thing. Here's the quick, short, and skinny. When they go visit a planet, first of all, there's always one leader of a town that represents the planet. Some dude with a beard or some nice lady with kind eyes, and they say welcome, and it's just a town square that's like 30 by 30, and it's clearly indoors, but it's supposed to be outdoors, and everybody's outside in the town square. You always have kids playing hacky sack in the corner over here, or soccer, some kind of kicking. They're giggling and they're doing this. Then there are two people over here playing chess or some kind of board game, and everybody else is carrying like fruits back and forth. And it's just so bustling and busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. That would have been a perfect opportunity for that.
Perfect use of that. And then, as we were talking about this, one of the things that also jumped at me that Deep Space Nine, I think, has done such a good job is telling stories about extremism.
Right.
And I think, excuse me. We had the Bell riots. Remember the Gabriel Bell storyline, and they showed how extreme it was when the people were confined in these homeless encampments and being subjugated to these things, and it was always in an extreme way. You even look at how the Jemadar and how the Dominion function. It's really this brutal extremism thing, right? It's like we destroy, we take over, and Star Trek traditionally tells these kinds of extreme stories with the Borg, for example, going back to Next Generation. But I think that, when you tell these stories about the extreme polar spectrum of something, then you really get to see whether it agrees with your liking or not, right? You get
they
to see
really shine a light on it, right?
Yeah, it becomes so apparent that that's not the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, where you're supposed to go, oh my God, this is terrible. What did they do? Wait a minute, do we do that? That's kind of what they're doing, is they're kind of saying they're like, it's a lot more palatable to see the stupidity that people do if it's some alien race, some theoretical alien race,
Right, absolutely.
That's a good point. So I was also thinking this Dajara thing, I don't know, man. What if there's a society that's doing this and you're all stuck doing the thing that you're like worst at or something like that, like what if I have to be a comedian, like everybody would hate me. I know. See, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I don't know maybe that'll be our good question for the free for all a little later. What would your Dajara be that would just be like the worst fit? It should be
what would you dread as being your Dajara?
You know what Aaron would say? A mime. He would just have to be silent, and I mean, he definitely has the physicality for it. That would be hilarious.
A mime. Oh man,
basketball player. Anyway.
Hey, I did like the scene. I thought you were going to bring it up a little bit earlier, and maybe you were. But the scene of Sisko walking on the promenade when nobody was on there.
Thank you. There's like 5 or 6 or 7 more things I want to touch, and we only have 15 minutes left. That's definitely one of them, because that was the most well lit. As soon as he walked out, I was like, wow, that set is so beautiful. And I immediately got so freaking jealous of you that you got to play on that thing all the time. I'm like, I would have loved, I mean, it's just this gigantic set with like, the medical, the sick bay and the shops and all these things. And I was like, why am I noticing it so much more now? And I realized it's because it was so much brighter than it usually is. And I was like, I wonder if that's a directing choice. But then we find out why. It's because later on it got darker when he had the shadow, whatever. So they had to create that contrast. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I noticed that. I was like, wow, it's so well lit. This is the best I've been able to see the set. And I was so jealous of you, dude.
Yeah, well, I thought that what made it so unique as well was the fact that nobody else was on there. So the fact that it was empty, your eye is normally busy with somebody walking by and, aliens. Yeah, and you see the life, and there's, Jake and Nog upstairs with their feet dangling. There's always action. And so your eyes get distracted. But when you see it by itself and see it, empty, it really stands out at just being like, it's like Disneyland. I was thinking, wow, that's like Disneyland. Mm-hmm. It's like being in Disneyland, and everywhere you look, there's something to soak up.
Right, something interesting, and their attention to detail, where they're just like, build this as if it were real, because we are going to shoot every single angle of this station at some point. So I can only imagine the detail that was in there.
Yeah, and I just want to say also a little shout out to Les Landau, because I know when you're dealing with these kinds of dream sequences and stuff, you have to get creative in those kinds of ways that we're talking about, especially with lighting. But I also want to say that I really enjoyed the cut. Maybe this is an editing thing, but I think it's credit to him. Sisko in his office while the other guy was giving his speech, and he was looking at it on his his laptop. And it was just a slow kind of camera move as Sisko's watching it. And I just love the fact that they kind of took a moment to process that and let Sisko hear it. And they didn't show the guy talking. They actually showed him reacting to it and watching it. And I like that shot as well. So those are my little shout out to Les Landau and his directorial style.
Right. That's a really good point, is when we're hearing something that we know Sisko well enough to know that it doesn't vibe with him, we want to see Sisko hearing this. That's what's important, is we want to see, as that information hits his brain, and what is he thinking? And we know what he's thinking. And it's just really interesting. And it just reminds me of, I don't know if you've seen Breaking Bad. I wish I could remember the actor's name. He's like an Afro-Hispanic actor, and everybody knows who he is now. I think he's in The Mandalorian as well in the second season. He's an incredible actor, and he's so interesting. There's this one scene where we're just watching him read the newspaper, and I'm like, it's like so, and he's not doing that. He's just sitting there soaking up information, but we're watching him, and we're just like, I can only imagine what's going through his head. And that's kind of what I felt with what you're saying with Sisko. It can be so interesting to just watch somebody processing things.
Yeah, and so I just think that's a good choice. You got the guy speaking and making this speech, but it's less about the speech itself and more about Sisko processing and absorbing that information and saying, "Wow, look what I've done, and this is on me now, right? This is all falling on me." So you can see Sisko saying, there is going to be repercussions for this that I'm going to have to deal with. And he mentioned those repercussions when he talked about the Federation and him actually being a failure. You know, I said, I failed. I think he just said it pretty plainly.
So just real quick, the actor, I knew it's like Espo something. His name is Giancarlo Esposito. And I just want to give him one more shout out because I was just blown away when I saw him in Breaking Bad. Let me see if I can just pull up a quick picture so that I'm sure you know him. Anyway, here we go. This guy.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a shot of him in Breaking Bad as well. Anyway, didn't want to spend too much time on it because almost everybody in the world knows exactly who that is, except we're the only ones who have to look him up. Everybody's like, dude, Giancarlo, dude, come on, everybody knows him, but he's amazing. Anyway, there was...
well, go ahead.
I was just going to say there was another thing with Worf that really needs to be mentioned because it was beautiful. Quark tells Worf, Keiko's going to have a baby. And he goes, no? And it's so funny because in The Next Generation, Keiko went into labor and she was like stuck with Worf, and Worf had to deliver Molly. And he was like the worst. He's like, I do not know what to do, you know, or whatever. And they're like, oh, do you want to hold the baby? And he's like, no, thank you. I'm a vegetarian. I mean, he didn't say that, but anyway, it's just really funny. It was like a throwback to when that, and he had like the panic, and that's why he said, I will be very far away in 7 months. I will be visiting my parents, and he hates visiting his parents. So he's like, I would rather do anything, even visit my annoying parents, than be anywhere near this situation. Really good.
And his
really
parents
funny.
live on Earth, so I took note of that too.
His Russian ones, he was raised by Russian people, the Rozhenkos.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So because his real parents, his Klingon parents, were killed by Romulans, I believe, in the war when he was a toddler. So he was adopted by Russian parents, which is why he came up through Earth and joined the Federation. That's his backstory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day. Russian parents for Worf. Good to know. I like the scene with Sisko and Kira when she started to cry and say that she was leaving. I know I've gave it marks counted against it because I didn't think that's what she would do, but I don't think that she delivered the scene any less than how it should have been done. And I want to congratulate her on the performance because I do think that that scene with Sisko and Kira where she says, well, yeah, I'll recommend somebody, you know, to replace me. And he was like, I'm sure I can find somebody to fill the spot, but replace you, you know.
Right.
I don't know I don't know about replacing you.
Mm-hmm. But that's a good point, that an actor's job is to take lines, whether they're great or whether they're strange or whether you agree or don't agree. Your job is to take lines and make them seem real, make them seem like you would really say it, not only make your performance compelling and interesting, but also make those lines as believable as possible. So yeah, definitely kudos to her that, you know, even if we think it's maybe slightly inconsistent with what we think the character is, that definitely doesn't take anything away from her performance. That's a good point.
Yeah, I do think that performance was great, and she was actually moving to tears when she was having to contemplate, you know, leaving, and I thought that she did that excellently.
Another quick funny line that Quark threw out there was when Bashir tells Quark, he says, "Hey, you know, Chief O'Brien is having a baby," and Quark says, "Really? I thought females carried your young." So Quark definitely had all the lines this week, all the jokes.
Yeah, they threw those little couple of jokes in there, you know, a little levity. And then, of course, O'Brien is so good at being annoyed. No, my wife is having a baby. You know, he's so he's so good at being annoyed. He's just the best at it, I think.
Maybe that's why everybody thinks of O'Brien as kind of like the most tortured guy in all of Star Trek, is just because the way he reacted to things seemed tortured. You know, you're just like, everything was just like, oh God, the end of the world.
Yeah, you're God, I have to explain things to you. You know, Jesus, I've got enough things to do. But I want to say that there's another thing Star Trek does really well, and that they did in this particular episode, because I was ready to have a nitpick when the suggestion. Yeah, you ready for it? You got one?
I better be ready. Here we go. I am ready. Go ahead. Tell us.
Yeah.
You're on standby. He's on deck. Am I on? No. Am I on? No. You're on deck.
Yeah, so it was like Sisko was in the prophets in the wormhole with the prophets and the two emissaries, and they're basically asking the prophets, which one do you want? Which one of us do you want? And they keep calling him the Sisko, the Sisko. It's all about the Sisko, right? And then Sisko interrupts, and they're like, well, what should we do? And he's like, no, you know, like, send him back to his time. And,
yeah.
And I was thinking, doesn't that mess up the timeline, right? I mean, would that change the occupation of Bajor? Would that change the religious culture that they have? Because he may have written more manuscripts or had a whole different vision on the future. Or so they explain things away, and this goes back to what Star Trek does. While I was getting mad about those things, they're also saying, okay, let's just explain it away.
In one throwaway line. The
prophets.
Hey, what about the prophets? Hey, they work in mysterious ways. Am I right?
Yeah, so, you know, but he finished this book, but he didn't alter history. But this book was changed, and I have it.
Yeah, they're kind of like, hey, I guess we're just going to have to accept that that's how it goes. And everybody at home should too. Like, but it's true. I totally agree that I was kind of like doing that math in my head, which is like, well, if everybody remembers it one way, but then they look back in history books and it's different, then how does that work? Because the history books was written by people's memory. So how can their memory continue to be passed on to these people and it not be exactly congruent with, I don't know, man. Hey, the prophets, what are you going to do?
Hey, the prophet said that's how it was going to be. And right the moment before, you know, everybody was going to forget everything, but you would remember something, but don't worry about it. So, yeah, I was a little bit like, huh? And that's why, another reason why, again, my Q theory, you know, Q comes in and pops up at the last second and says, ha, gotcha. I'm not the real emissary.
Hey, it's Q. What are you gonna do?
Hey, Q decided to do this, and then it's magically disappears. So yeah, either way, it's going to end in some kind of magical explanation away of something, because they can't always make things go away or fit together perfectly. So they have to there's got to be a loose end that they got to cut at some point and say, all right, just cut it there.
Hey, it's Star Trek. What are you going to do?
Hey, we made you think about ascension and stuff.
That's a solid nitpick, because that's legit. And I was kind of like that too, but since it was at the very end of the episode, I was just kind of like, whatever. But I guess a couple minutes left. And I had to check my notes to make sure. Oh, son of a! I can't do it. There we go.
There it is. Make sure we can see the face.
It's time for the nitpick, damn it. Hanahate did not draw that picture of the pony that they said Molly O'Brien really drew. And I checked with her. I texted her. She wanted to be on the show, but she couldn't because they're moving. And we want to wish them a very happy move, by the way. But if you're going to have a child on the show drawing a pony, you might as well have the actor draw. What do they got, like a 35-year-old artist going like, oh, is this how children draw for real? Just let the kid draw. Just say, hey, Hannah, draw a picture of a pony and use that. You guys got to let the child actors express themselves artistically. Piss me off.
That's funny.
Piss me off, man.
That is funny. Was it too advanced for you? Is that what made you decide? Did the pony look too advanced for her?
No. Well, that's the thing, is I think it looked like a child drew it. So I'm like, well, why not just let the child draw it? I don't know. And she also said, by the way, that she also remembers them giving her a drawing for the Times Orphan episode as well. So in a future episode, she's gonna be holding another drawing that's gonna be BS that she didn't really draw. So don't fall for this. She didn't really draw it.
I got a little disclosure to make, and this is going to be breaking news here.
You didn't really write the things that Jake Sisko wrote.
Breaking news here today on the Seventh Rule. This is an exclusive. I didn't recommend that book that Molly likes. Yeah.
I'm through with you, Star Trek. No wonder it's called science fiction. Piss me.
And I drew all those pictures too.
They were very nice, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
didn't mean to yell about them. They were beautiful.
Appreciate it, man. A guy puts in hard work.
Well, I think we've done a lot of good. Let me make sure that we covered.
Oh, wait a second. I want you to give us whatever quick that you can tell us about Jane S. Benson.
Oh, right. Yeah. Also, a very super quick thing, because we only have a minute left. I do want to also say that they touched on a similar theme that we just had like a couple weeks ago when Worf tried to kill his brother Kern, and
Yes.
Sisko said, where's the line between allowing people to have their differences of culture and when we say that's too far? And that was when the freaking emissary, not the emissary, but the Arucan guy killed somebody. He just killed somebody because he was a different caste. And it's the exact same message as the one with Worf and Kern from like a couple weeks ago, where it's kind of like, well, I get that that's your culture, but where's the line between, they're just celebrating their culture, and us as the Federation saying that's too far. You can't, I don't care what your culture is. So anyway, so they brought that up again, and I wanted to make sure we pointed that out because...
Yeah, and then they asked Sisko, they say, Sisko, somebody has been murdered on the promenade. And he kind of pauses, and it's like, again?
Here we go again.
Here we go again.
So, real quick, final 20 seconds. The lady, Jane Espenson, since she only wrote that one episode for Star Trek, but since then she'd written a bunch of things. Battlestar Galactica being the most notable to me. There was some Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Caprica, Once Upon a Time, Torchwood, just tons and tons. Jessica Jones, tons of great stuff. So congratulations to her for using Star Trek as one of her first stepping stones. Really cool.
Absolutely.
Anyway, everybody stick around for the free-for-all, and we will see you on the other side in just a second on the 7th rule. Did we forget anything? I don't think so.
Nope. That's it.
All right.
And welcome back to the 7th rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello.
Oh, no, I was afraid. Don't start the woohoos again.
Yes. And we're back.
Ryan T. Husk. Homer Frizzell. Tim Baum. Carly.
Creer.
TJ Bass.
You got to hover over the thing to see all the names.
TJ Jackson-Bey.
Woohoo! There it is.
And Dr. Marie Segal. And I'm Melissa Longo.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very nice.
Also, we usually do this at the end of our second segment, but let's do this right now. A very special thanks to, when I say that, Cirroc gets ready for his line that he knows. Carmen Shamwell, PJ Tomas, TJ Jackson-Bey out in Missouri, Bill Victor Arucan,
Arucan.
Yvette Blackmon, Homer Frizzell, Eve England out in Wales, Dr. Marie Segal out in Ohio, Titus Mohler, Tim Baum, Sue V. Gruner, Doctor, Robert Weissburg, Darlena Marie. All right. Now, guys, we reviewed Accession today, which was a Bajorn episode. But it was okay. It was still good. I know everybody gets quiet when we say a Bajorn episode. They go, oh, boy.
I used to.
I really like this episode.
I like them, yeah.
Good. Yeah, because that's
this
the thing.
episode has so much in it.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Right. That's the thing is, before I would be like, oh no, a Bajorn episode, but now that like we're rewatching it, it's kind of what makes it good is not necessarily Bajorn politics, but how the characters we love react to these Bajorn things. You know, it's really cool, really interesting. So here's the question of the day. Now they said everybody had their Dajara, right? Which was their caste system, which is, oh, your last name is so-and-so, or your first name is whatever. You have to be a potter, or you have to be a farmer. And Kira had to be a clay person. She had her ghost moment, but without the guy.
Oh, God.
And so we were kind of talking about, like, if the Dajara just happened to be, like, the worst fit for you. Like, Cirroc said, oh, Ryan, like, you would be a comedian or something rude like that. It was horrible. I know, it's hurtful. I know.
Oh, wow.
Come on, with all your puns.
Amazing.
Yeah, get them, you guys. But anyway, so I was thinking a fun question, and Anne-Marie definitely agrees, I'm sure, is that if we were in this Bajorn caste system and you had the Dajara,
become a Dajara-based system.
right? What would be the worst fit for you? You know, like what would be the thing where they'd force you to do it and they would regret it instantly? We're going to start with Mr. Tim Baum. Thank you for your service, by the way, sir.
You're very welcome. The worst fit for me would be singing. I was a very good musician with perfect pitch, which means I knew I couldn't sing. I'm terrible at it. So that would be the worst fit for me.
Prove it.
I love you, Liverpool. We do. We love you, Liverpool. We.
Oh, they have Bye Bye Birdie songs.
Oh,
Cute.
I want to hear some Righteous Brothers.
You should also send us the link to your CD.
Darling.
He quickly goes on mute.
That's okay. That's okay.
That was very
That's
rude,
very
Ryan.
brave.
You didn't have to mute him like that, Ryan. That wasn't right.
Yeah, that was wrong. That was wrong, Ryan. Come on.
That's funny.
Oh.
All right. TJ, what about you? What would be the worst Dejara for you, the worst fit?
Probably comedian, because I would probably say something like, "It's not delivery, it's Dejaras."
Oh, I love that.
No,
There you
literally,
go.
when you asked that, I was thinking if they asked me to go and be a hockey star, then probably I would not be good at that, because would probably bust my tailbone. I don't know. I do like the part where I get to smash people against the wall, though. I think I would be good at that
Nice.
Ooh, wait, hold the phone. Did Carly just Bajoran clap at that?
Yes.
Very nice.
One way or the other. It's Dumbledore, thank you.
Maybe a goalie, TJ.
Goalie, yeah, sure.
But then you wouldn't be
No.
able to hit people.
I
against
thought the
wall as
same
much.
thing you thought, TJ. That was the first thing I thought was something with ice skates. I was like,
Yeah, no, that's not my thing.
that's not my thing. I'm just not got no balance on ice skates. I was thinking
That's
the
not my
same
thing. That's not my thing. No, that's not my name. Whatever.
No,
Remember that
that's not
song?
your thing.
Yeah.
You guys remember who was that? What
No,
was
we remember it. We remember it.
Annoying.
Don't.
I don't
was it?
have to.
Who was that? Anybody know?
Wasn't that the Pussycat Dolls?
That's not my name. Oh well.
That's Gwen Stefani, right?
Bobby Hill.
No, Gwen
don't know.
Stefani.
I feel like it's a British girl.
I feel like I would know.
It was the Ting Tings.
What?
What? Chain gang.
Power of Google.
Oh, the Ting Tings.
Damn it!
All right. We know what you listen to, Ryan.
Yeah, well, let's keep it PG, guys. Come on, grow up, everybody.
Seriously.
Well, Carly, what do you think? What would be the worst fit for you with your Dejara?
I kind of already did this. I worked for 3 months at an animal clinic and quickly realized I am way too sensitive to work around animals that are being put to sleep.
Hmm.
That was horrible. So it's great when you can help them, but when you see the really downside of it, it broke me pretty bad for a little bit. So I had to quickly find something else. And my boss knew, she understood, because she knew going in that I would hug a rattlesnake if I could. So it's definitely not the best fit for me, is to watch anyone have to bring in their ready to go animals.
Yeah.
No.
Snakes will hug you back, by the way.
Well, yeah,
A
but
tight squeeze.
that's what my dad used to tell me. I would hug a rattlesnake if I could as a kid. He said, you love animals way too much, and so we had to kind of drag you away from some of them. So,
Aw.
yeah. I'm an
That's a
animal
black
lover.
widow, Carly. That's a black widow. That's
Oh, no. If it's got 8 legs, no, it's got like my hairspray and a lighter, and we're torching it. And
Okay.
Oh my God,
No.
that's the complete
But what
opposite.
that's the line right there.
What about if it's just 2 puppies?
Well, that's 8 separated legs, so that's okay.
Oh.
But what if it's like a Siamese puppy with 8 legs?
Oh, here we
I'd
go.
probably
Cute.
still love it, as long as it doesn't try and, like,
Bite you.
infect me or bite me. And unless it's radioactive, I'll take that. Give me some spider dog power or whatever. So
I like that as a superhero. Spider dog.
Spider dog.
pretty wild.
That Homer Simpson.
So let's make that your Dejara. Your spider dog.
That works because I don't like spiders. It's like good and bad. Dog, spider. Ugh.
It's the yin yang or the Ting Tang or whatever
Ting.
Katie was talking about.
Ting.
Dr. Anne-Marie Segal, what would be your Dajara that would be the worst possible fit for you?
I'm going to go with my mom's maiden name because she's a Gleason, like Jackie Gleason, who's an actor, and I'd be the worst actress ever. So that would be my enforced Dajara.
Can you imagine Anne-Marie as a background actor where she's just like like trying not to laugh or like reacting like, whoa.
Yeah, see that?
Oh my
That
gosh.
was impressive.
Yeah.
Or she'd have to actually pretend to carry on a conversation without using her voice, just moving the mouth.
Oh my gosh.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine Anne Marie as a silent star?
A 19.
I could see her as a reality show.
1920.
I could see Anne Marie as a reality show star. She hobnobs around New York with wine glasses and all this.
Real Housewives of the Church.
I got to press on this.
Yeah.
What show?
It's like the Real Housewives of New York City.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
I'm so scared of Ramona. Oh, Ryan doesn't watch.
Oh, I just drifted off. Sorry.
You
guys
can
were
roll
talking
it
about.
off.
You guys were talking about. I don't even know what reality shows.
Housewife something.
Row NYC, RHO.
That guy behind you, Ryan, looks like Rick Berman. If you don't know.
Oh yeah, crazy.
It does.
Cover him back up a little, and it's like
Yeah,
Rick
there
with
we go.
long hair.
Yeah.
See that?
Balding
I can see
Rick?
that.
Rick, is that you?
Welcome to the seventh rule, Rick Berman.
Right there. That's Rick Berman right there. Boom.
There he is. Hey, Rick. Give him a little umma.
Really does. That's all I'm going to see now. Balding Rick Berman.
Yep.
Speaking of Rick Berman, Mr. Homer Frizzell, you have something to show us real quick, and then also tell us your Dajara that would be the worst fit ever.
Okay. So I got a hat from the Star Trek shop. And I think other folks have them, but you can have it personalized if you want. So this is the hat, which of course is the Niners hat. And I went and got
Nice.
Nog.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and it's a comfy hat, and it's one that I'm not going to be afraid to wear outside. I don't usually wear hats inside a lot.
Aww.
And by the way, he's got a really
close up on the Nog. You didn't get
Yes.
to see the Nog there.
Of course.
So cute.
And by the way, how cool is his background of O'Brien and Molly?
Oh,
Yeah.
Molly suddenly is grown up in this episode.
I know.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know how
Such a
many
comfy
letters.
hat.
Yeah, it is. I don't know how many letters you can personalize. I mean, you could probably maybe fit Captain Nog on there if you wanted, or your own name. Well, I don't know why you do that. You know what your hat is.
Check out this dog alien behind Molly. I don't think I ever saw one of those.
Oh yeah, I
Spider
don't know what
dog.
it is.
What is
I don't know I don't know what
We've
type of alien that is.
We've seen that many times on Deep Space Nine.
scary.
I feel like there's a
No
female
wonder she
one
has
of those
nightmares
that's a
all the
Dabo.
time.
That's like a bat dog.
It looks like between a Riemann and a dog.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like there's
Yeah.
a female alien that looks like that. That's a Dabo girl.
That's so neat.
I think that was in Bars was the last one.
Bar
Yeah,
Bar
Association.
Association. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was one of the strikers.
Yeah.
Wow.
No wonder Molly has dreams about Rumpelstiltskins and all kind of nightmares.
Yeah, no kidding.
I forgot about that.
She says it.
So my Dajara that I would least want to have, I guess is the way to put it, or that I would be horrible at, and it's a toss up between sales and marketing. Yeah.
Money.
When I have to sell lottery tickets, when I have to sell raffle tickets, I usually just buy them all myself, and that's
Oh, I love
Aw.
selling
I know.
raffle tickets. It's so fun.
it.
You're on to TJ.
I had to
So-
do that when I figure skated.
So Homer, you're the worst Ferengi of the group.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
He doesn't have the lobes for it.
Don't. I have small ears. I've even been told this. Yeah.
Dr. Susan Gruner in the
How are you?
house.
All right.
What's
Thanks for
up?
saving us from me.
Hi, Sue.
Hi. What did you do now, Homer?
We got talking about sales and marketing and the size of ears and how it figures into that.
You know, the usual and Tintin.
Standard SOP, as they say.
Thanks, thanks.
Sue's real question is like, what have I walked into?
Yeah. So, Dr. Sue, what we're talking about today is on today's episode, there was something called the Dajara, Bajorn's Dajara, which was like forcing Bajorns to be something that they don't necessarily want to do or aren't necessarily a good fit for. And so we're saying what would be the Dajara that would be the worst fit for us. That's what we're talking about. And it's Katie's turn right now to tell us what her Dajara would be the worst fit for her.
It would be getting up at like 5 or 6 in the morning and working as a secretary. Or what would be worse would be playing sports like basketball, football, baseball, hockey,
But you
any
are
of
a
it.
ballerina, so
Ballerina,
you're already
yeah,
doing
that's
that's a
athletic.
sport. Yeah.
And yeah, it is. It's a performing art, but it is a sport. But anything with a ball. But I'd say working as a secretary, because being cute in it, in a little cubicle and just typing all day.
Cubicles
I
get a
gotta
bad
be
rap.
out. I
Like,
gotta
that
be
is a
doing
place
stuff.
of peace.
I love how TJ always has the opposite perspective. He's like, well, now let's not be too hasty. Let's think about this.
I
Cubicles
am
are
a
place of peace.
professional devil's advocate.
I have never thought of a cubicle as a place of peace. Thank you.
Yeah, you can kick people out of it and
For me,
hole up in it, and
Well,
I
and
don't
agree.
know.
That's nice.
Katie, you have a hockey team in Fort Wayne that actually fights more than they skate. So
I don't know about that, but I should check it out because I did figure
Are they like the
skate.
Mad Ants or something?
I figure
No.
skated from
no, that's a G League basketball team.
no, they are the Fort Wayne Comets, and historically, they've been thugs. I'm just saying. They don't play hockey. They go out to fight. Fort Wayne Comets, I can't stand. But anyway, go ahead.
Did you get an answer
So-
from Dr. Susan Gruner?
Wow, there's
So, yeah.
in
definitely
NBA
some.
parlance.
Yeah, no, hockey definitely no, but figure skating yes, because I did do it from 2011 to 2013. So if you probably were to stick me on the ice now, I'd probably fall.
Aw.
But no, I loved it. It was so fun.
Is that a compete? You competed in that, or
I did, and I actually, I got 2 gold medals, 1 bronze, and I think 1 silver, or
Wow.
2 bronzes and 2 golds.
Wow.
Yeah, I loved
Wow.
it, but it was between that or ballet, just because, and I had to choose one because they're both so expensive, especially the competitions.
wow?
But yeah, no, my Jajara, it would be the worst doing anything in the morning.
So not a morning person.
I
No.
agree with that wholeheartedly.
Melissa, what would be the Dajara that would be the worst fit for you?
Probably like exterminator,
Oh, yeah.
because I'm not really good at killing things. Like even spiders and bugs. I enjoy spiders and bugs.
Yay! Spiders are so cool. They get a bad rap. I'm tired of it.
You get a bad
Oh,
rap.
look. High five to my purge partner. I love the way we purge.
Yes.
Charlotte.
Of the Church. Yes, and Charlotte.
I know.
So yeah, probably exterminators and mice and rats and I would catch them and put them outside. So I don't want to kill them. So exterminator probably.
I have a prediction. At this time in a few weeks when we're in the chat pack, I will be probably typing that Melissa is like the greatest sweetheart in the world.
Aww. It's true.
That's true. And I probably won't remember that I said that, and I will have typed it before.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the other. I think you're going to say that, and you're going to be like, oh, shoot, I forgot. I got to type it real quick. You're going to be like, oh, shoot, that's right. I forgot I was supposed to do this.
That's so nice. Thank you.
It's true.
Aww.
We're a no kill zone in our house, that's for sure. No,
Good.
Everything gets put outside gently. I'm sad when I find a dead frog or a dead lizard in the house. It breaks my heart.
Frog in the house.
And cockroaches are welcome here. You name
Cockroaches
it.
are welcome indoors.
Well, every once, I live in Florida. This is their home. And where we live is, where cockroaches live. Every once in a while, they'll get in through the vent, I think, in the bathroom. And I just pick them up and I put them outside. I confess, I think they're really cute. I realize that I'm probably the only one that feels that way.
I think Carly thinks they're cute, too.
Look better than the spiders.
Yeah.
I'll hold one over a spider, so.
If it's walks, crawls, or slithers, I like it. We get calls. I'm totally serious from our neighbors. We have a snake in our house, and it's usually a baby black racer, which they're harmless. I go over there with my net and I take the snake out of their house and put it outside where it belongs.
Back in my freshman year, back in '81, one of the 2 doors down in my dorm, he had a pet tarantula.
Cool.
And he put it on my hand, and I'm like, okay, I'm cool. But then somebody slammed a door down the hallway, and they sensed the pressure, and this thing launched right underneath my neck. And I'm like, Hank, get it off. Get it off now. Get it off now.
I would have been having a heart attack.
I had
Are you having any flashbacks about crawling into a certain corridor?
Yeah.
Column meanie.
No. I'm grabbing, my neck is itching just from that story.
Hey, Dr. Seuss, so what would be your bad fit Dajara?
Well, if it pertains to entomology, I could never be, I'm with Melissa, I could never be one who kills the pest control people. I can't comprehend. Look, I comprehend that a lot of people, the vast majority of the population doesn't want to have bugs in their house, and I do get it. But I don't think you have to kill everything. I just, I'd rather die than do that for a living.
No Ferengi stuff.
I'm definitely a no-kill guy too, man. I just toss them outside. But if it's a cockroach, I will use a piece of toilet paper. I don't want to. Look, I don't want to kill it. I don't want to kill it, but I don't want to touch it.
But the best way to do it is to get a cup and a piece of paper, and then you put the cup over it quickly and carefully so that you don't hurt it, and then slide the paper under the cup, and then
you have to wash the cup. And then what if you break one of its little legs when you're doing it?
Well, you have to be careful.
Cirroc. All right, Cirroc, you've had plenty of time to come up with the perfect imperfect fit.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick with my original. I was going to do the ice skating thing, but I'm just going to go with picking cotton. I just feel like we're not going there.
You're like, how dare you? There's no chance.
Just forget about it.
Where I went, yeah.
They'd be like, yo, man, too bad. I'm like, nah.
Screw that, Dajara.
Yeah.
That's on y'all.
Take your Dajara and shove it.
Exactly.
Right.
We're going to have to figure out something
Oh my
different
God. Ryan has to get rid of the Dajaras in 7th rule now.
Wait, what?
No, I was
Come
going
back
to.
and
TJ,
get
you
rid
know
of
what I'm
Dajaras.
talking about, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Cirroc, have
All
you
right,
seen the
Ryan.
video? The video of I think it's a Mississippi teenager that their class went on a field trip picking cotton. And he goes on this rant about like, can you believe they had me out there picking cotton?
Oh, geez.
It's hysterical.
That's insensitive.
Why would
Yeah,
they
it-
have kids do that in the first place? Good gravy.
Yeah, why is that fun?
That's
And yeah, not,
that
well,
sounds like the worst field trip in the world. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, and he goes on because they said you can
I
keep
mean,
the
when they go on a field trip, they go on a field trip.
well, and he was like
Okay, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
he put some cotton in his pants, and they're like, okay, you can't take the cotton away. He's like, what? You had me picking cotton. And it was
And I
like,
can't have any. Yeah, that's
it actually is. It's disturbing, but a hysterical video because he goes on this rant like, can you believe they had me go out there?
Yeah, next week they have a field trip shoveling shit, and they will be doing chain gang, breaking rocks. This is a school that I don't want to go to.
yeah.
Well, that's all the time we have, everybody. So in
Oh,
What
the
about yours?
Ryan,
Your
you gotta go
Dajara.
first.
mine would be a comedian, I guess.
Yeah.
Be a terrible fit, but it
Ah,
would be
yeah.
mostly a disservice to the world. I think I'd probably be okay with it, but everybody would be like, we can't live like this, you guys. We have got to change the rules. This is bullshit. Anyway, we do have to run, but thank you all very much for joining us. TJ, Katie, Melissa, Homer, Freezy, Tim, Carly, Anne-Marie, Sue, for Cirroc, Lofton, and myself, for Aaron Eisenberg, and everybody at Odyssey Radio. Thank you all for joining us. And always remember the 7th rule. Let us know what your Dajara is, by the way, your terrible Dajara fit.
Comments below.
That's the one. Not comets, right, Tim? Comments.
Right.